Welcome back, Shalloners. Well, today we're going to review and break down Kylie Jenner's latest YouTube video, Who's Most Likely to... ... with my BFFs. It was 10 minutes long. I watched all those 10 minutes and 16 seconds just for you guys. You are welcome. Never say I don't suffer for you, because I really wanted to get a better sense of the dynamic between Kylie and her friends. And we've done a video on Kylie's Kreepy Clique before. Check it out. But this, I was hoping would illuminate some other dynamics, and it definitely did. And so we're going to break down kind of the mechanisms of her group of friends, what's really going on beneath the surface, and more importantly, what to do if you feel like the odd man out in your clique, because there was one person in Kylie's group that definitely did not fit. But before we get into it, just want to remind you guys to find me on my website, shallonlester.com, and click Get Help if you have a love question. Also follow me on Instagram, where you can keep abreast of all the videos I'm going to put up. I just put up a list actually last night of all the videos coming up, plus a list of videos I'm not going to do and why. So in case you want to suggest them down here, it's over. Also, if you guys need a video pep talk, a birthday shout out, something like that, find me on Cameo at ShallonXO, and be sure to follow me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. No, I'm not dancing. I don't have the brain power to learn dances. I'm just putting up, some daily pieces of wisdom for you guys to keep us all positive and focused in the right direction. And speaking of positivity, I know you guys really want me to bring back the live streams, and I do too, but I really also want to do a video like this, like a regular video every day. I mean, they reach more people, and I need to kind of figure out how I can balance the two, because doing a video like this and an hour-and-a-half long live stream every day, plus answering all the questions you submit, the TikTok, the Cameo, the Instagram, the brand partnerships, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot. So I need to figure out a way to not burn out, but still keep you guys happy. And that is really my challenge lately. But like I said, my other challenge was getting through this goddamn video. Okay, so they did a video, how's my BFF, who's most likely to, and I took notes on I hate this iPad. This thing is my enemy the way my bangs are my enemy. Do you see what fuck shit they're pulling today? Ha ha, ha. And then my hoodie, these strings are just out of nowhere. What do all these things want from me? iPad, bangs, hoodie strings, you're all up in my pieces. Okay, so some things stood out to me in this video up front, and then we're going to break down what I've observed about each individual girl. So first of all, it was Kylie, Stassi baby. Can we just pause and talk about how she calls herself on purpose Stassi baby? What if I was Shallon's sweetheart? Well, I guess it's like Sammy's sweetheart from Jersey Shore, Spunky Shall. And then there was Victoria. I don't know her last name. I could have looked, I don't care. And she used to be Kylie's assistant, and she quit to become an influencer. Girl, good luck. We'll talk about that. And last but, least, evidently, is Yris Palmer. Now, Yris is Kylie's, I guess, lash person. And it's interesting how Kylie's friends are her employees. Half of these friends are her actual employees. Victoria's her assistant. Yris is, did her lashes. And Kylie always has really bomb looking lashes. As someone whose lash extensions are falling out by the minute, and this is the one thing I cannot bear during this quarantine, that and not getting laid. Don't even talk to me about it. I have a lot of respect, for her, keep your lash girl close. Absolutely. But it's interesting that that's who her circle of friends is. It's employees. And we talked about this before with the Kardashians, because one bit of feedback you guys always say is, Jonathan Cheban, the fuck. Jonathan Cheban is one of my personal enemies. And he came for me on Twitter one time, and I came right the fuck back for him. And he's just a clown. He's so uncomfortable in his own skin that he makes me uncomfortable to watch. You're obviously a gay guy. Fine. Who cares? It's 2020. You could be a gay guy who now is getting an operation. Now you're a lesbian. Who cares? But he's so uncomfortable and not okay with it. It's just, anyway. My point is, not just the Jonathan Cheban ranting hour, is people why is Kim still friends with him? Is because at this level of fame, you don't really make new friends, you don't go out to bars and clubs, and even if your friend has another friend who you would probably like, it's I don't know if I can trust them. They could sign all the NDAs in the world. If they blab something, it's already out there, you know? And so, okay, so you sue someone, well, they don't have any money. What are you gonna do? You can't get blood from a turnip. Like, the damage is done. So it's very difficult to acquire people in your life. And as we've seen, especially with Kylie, why don't you just go straight out? If this is where you want to be, live your best bang life and just be completely horizontal. Do you feel better? I give them everything. I give them everything. And this is betrayal. Betrayal. So we saw this in Life of Kylie, is that her friends were like Tokyo, her wig person and her makeup artist. And like, she didn't have other friends besides Jordan, who was also kind of on the payroll. I mean, she lived with her. She was on the payroll insofar that Kylie controlled like so many aspects of Jordan's life, the way an employer would control an employee's life, you know? And I believe that they had a really good friendship. And that's why Kylie held on so long to it, because she was an OG and she could trust her. Well, we all know how that went. We all know how that went. So now it's like, when you're hiring people, you're basically hiring your friends, and you just simply spend so much time around people that work for you. You know, the lines blur, but that can be a very dangerous thing. The old saying, don't mix business and pleasure. And I think it's interesting that Kylie chose to stay friends with Victoria, who was her assistant for a long time and seemed like very, very competent and organized and on top of it. Like when I watched Life of Kylie, I was like very impressed watching Victoria. But she quit because, and she announced, this isn't like a rumor, she announced that she quit because she wants to be an influencer. I have girls, and you guys submit questions a lot of times. You're like, I want to be an influencer. I want to be an IG model. First of all, it's important to note that IG model very often means escort. There is no IG model agency. You're not closing the Balmain show in Milan Fashion Week. You're not getting paid to model. If you are paying photographers to shoot you, you are not a model, right? I go to a restaurant and I pay someone to cook for me. I am therefore not the chef. I am not a chef. I am a consumer of this good. I am not a supplier. So, and when you guys are like, I want to be an influencer, and I'm like, well, what's your product? And you're like, influence. I was like, okay, well, you have 1,600 followers, so you're not influential. That's fine. That's a normal amount to have. But again, like, that's not influence. And it's like, well, what's your product? Are you like the fashion? Do you put together wild outfits? Do you know how to shop vintage? Are you incredible at doing eyebrows and makeup? My product, and I'm saying this as an actual influencer, so I feel like a traitor being like, don't be an influencer. It's not a real job. But I have a product, it's advice, right? And this is the thing, if you want to be an influencer, you got to have a product. Like, remember before influencers were a thing, it was everyone thought they deserved their own reality show. I should have a reality show. And I'm like, the only people who are successful from a reality show are people who had a product going into it. That's why Jessica Simpson remained successful. She had music, she had those products, she had her makeup line, she had her shoe line, right? But you have these Real Housewives who get on there and they're like, I'm gonna make vodka purses, and you're like, no one's fucking buying this. You can't have fame and then have a product. It doesn't really work like that. I mean, it can for a very short amount of time, but it doesn't create any sort of lasting business. And so Victoria, I'm like, okay. And this brings me to my point. I'm surprised Kylie wants to stay friends with her, because to me, that speaks to Victoria thinking she gets to have what Kylie has. And we've talked about this before. Envy, deadly sin. We talked about it during Evil Week, where the difference between jealousy and envy is like, one is you want what someone has. The other one is, I want what you have because I don't think you deserve it. I think it should be mine instead. And you maybe don't know where those lines are with Victoria and Kylie. Hopefully it's one and not the other. Hopefully it's, man, I really want that lifestyle. I'm going to go get it. But after working for her for so long, seeing the inner workings, maybe she's like, you know what? Kylie doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She doesn't do anything with this lip kit. Like, she just signs her name on it. She's not part of it. She's not interesting. She's not funny. She manipulates all of her photos. She doesn't even look like this. She shouldn't have this fame. I should have this fame. I'm the one who's kept her life running. I'm the one who tells her how to pose. I'm the one who comes up with her captions and helps smooth out fights with her and that douchey baby daddy. This life should be my life. So I never want to tell people to cut friends out of their life. Well, I do a lot actually, but it's a red flag for me in terms of Kylie. Like she's already lost Jordan, and I think it would be just really tragic if she had to get burned by another friend who she considered really, really close to her and a confidant. So that, I worry a little bit about you, Victoria. Is she Italian? I like her accent. And another thing about her being a wannabe influencer. So when Kylie went around and introduced everyone, she talked about Yris, and she's like, Yris has her own YouTube channel, boop. And like linked to it, she's like, Stassi also has her own YouTube channel, boop. And said nothing about Victoria. It's like, you want to be an influencer and you don't have a YouTube channel. And you can be an IG influencer and not do YouTube. But I would think if I was BFF with the biggest influencer planet Earth has ever seen, I would have an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube, a Snapchat, like a this, a that. I would have everything, just in the off chance she wanted to retweet, that she wanted to at me in something. And if I was doing this, if I knew I was going to be doing this video with her on YouTube, she has 8 million subscribers. Fuck, man, I'd get a YouTube channel up and running. I'd drop 5 G's, I'd hire a production company, I'd bang out 15 videos, post them all up. Like, are you kidding, girl? This is the thing that people don't understand with influencers. It is the hardest job. I mean, no, it's not obviously it's not the hardest job, but it is a big job. It's not just like, Kiki has it. There's so much that goes into it. And if you just want that like hats and just the fame and just the free shit, you're not going to make it, because there's so much you have to do behind the scenes. I've done a video on how to become an influencer and the dark side of it and things I didn't realize. So I got my eye on you, Victoria. I got my eye on you. Shallon Tourage is watching. Okay. All right. So Stassi looks 38. She's 22 years old. In the last year, she has gone from looking 21 to looking 38. I was like, wow, way to skip over those years. Good job. Let's go straight to middle age. So, and her and Kylie have had like identical surgeries. And I've done videos on how, it's this weird copycat clique that Kylie has kind of insists upon. Like, her and Jordan would pose in the same outfits, and Jordan's body did not look exactly like Kylie's, but I feel like Kylie was trying to make her body look more like Jordan's, like that curvy ideal that isn't naturally Kylie's shape. But with a doctor, anything's possible. You can put a man on the moon. You can put an ass on Kylie Jenner. And you can also put an ass on Stassi, because now they both look like centaurs. They both look like ants, and they're identical. And that to me was such a red flag that we talked about in that video, because it's one thing to not be comfortable in your body and you have to remake it into some like ideal that you think it should be. It is even deeper when you need to make your friends into that person too, because that tells me you actually aren't feeling super authentic about this look. And so to validate your choices, you have to replicate it in other people, because if more people look like you, then it makes more sense, right? Then it's a thing and you don't look weird by comparison like a centaur. You look, well, this is just how we look. This is how girls look at 22. It's just puberty. It's not puberty, it's fucking fat transfers. Maybe it's Rob Kardashian's fat transfers. We don't know. We haven't seen that motherfucker in a while. So that was always a big red flag in terms of her friendship with Stassi. Stassi baby, excuse me. Now let's get to Yris, okay? She looks like Vanessa Bayer from Saturday Night Live, right? Sort of like Birdmouth. I love Vanessa Bayer. She's so funny. Yris also looks like a full-grown adult. She is. She's 29. And the rest of these girls are like 22, 24, something like that. Victoria might be older. I don't care. But it's interesting that she, is friends with Kylie, with someone younger. But then again, like, Kylie is not your typical 22-year-old. She's not a senior in college. She's a mom. She's wifed up with Travis, or maybe not, who knows. So she is definitely living an adult life. So it makes sense that she has older friends for sure. People who can like understand what her lifestyle is. And it makes sense she's friends with Yris, who is also a business owner. It's like, hey, she can talk to her about like firing people, hiring people, how difficult that is, like being the boss. Like that's really, really tough. That's really tough. I have some employees and it's it's like not something people prepare you for. You know, you're so used to being the employee that when you're the boss, you're like, oh fuck. Like, I don't want to be the boss people hates, but like stuff needs to get done. It's a lot. So now let's talk about the dynamics in this video, because holy shit, was this boring. This was so dull. Like, did they download these questions off the internet? Like, one question, I mean, they were such lame questions. Like, I thought, oh wow, we're really gonna like learn a lot. There's gonna be some juicy takeaways. No, there sure is not. There is like, who's most likely to wander off when they're drunk? Ah, it's Stassi. I could have lived the rest of my life without that information. It did not enrich me at all. But one question that stood out was, who's most likely to marry a celebrity? And then they just all cracked up. It's like, who came up with these lame, whack-ass questions? Like, did you get this off like the box of cereal? They're so stupid. Like, come up with something spicy. They are all celebrities, like, sort of, you know, just... So I didn't learn anything. And this is very on brand for the Kardashians. They make you think that you're learning something. They make you think that there's access, and there's not. There's still this big wall of me versus them, information that they're highly filtering, much like their photos, and curating. Like, the only interesting part was when they were like, who's most likely to like slide into a guy's DMs or something. And they're like, oh my God, when Yris did it, iconic. I hate it when people use that word. You're not a makeup artist at Sephora. Stop using iconic, okay? Iconic. And Kylie's like, no, tell the story, Yris. And she's like, no. Okay, well, that was the only interesting part. You lost me. So what I did observe is that these are Kylie's friends. They are not friends with each other. Victoria seemed kind of friends with Stassi, but I could get this sense of competition from Victoria, and her dynamic really jumped out a lot. Like, that she feels like she kind of knows Kylie the best because she was her employee. I mean, in a sense, our gynecologist knows us very well. We would not consider them our best friend, right? So, like, you're a service professional and you do what you do very well, but is that the same as being a friend? And maybe to Kylie it is, you know, like I was saying, given her position and her lifestyle, like, yeah, like those really are one and the same. But Stassi is actually just her friend, not her employee. And I can tell that pisses Victoria off. And we see this a lot in friend groups, right? Because you're probably thinking like, all right, well, I'm not going to have employees like this, but you are going to have friends who are vying for your attention, right? You are going to have people who are jockeying for position as first wife in your life. Or maybe you're that person. Maybe you're Yris Palmer. Oh, we got to talk about Yris. Because this is the point of the video. Yris seemed like the odd man out. You know, the other girls did not speak to her when they were voting, because they were like, votes, you know, put up the face. No one voted for Yris for like literally any category. She was voting for herself in the like, who's the best kisser? She's like, me. She was like holding up her own sign, and like everyone's like, Stassi, and she's like, okay. She was just kind of there, and maybe it's because she's older and she's just kind of got a different lifestyle, and that's why she doesn't like vibe with like 22-year-old like thirst trap Stassi. I don't know. Or maybe it's because they just, you know, they kind of don't accept her. It's just, but it was interesting. And I know a lot of us have been in this position where we just, nope, that doesn't work, where we feel like the odd man out in our friendships. So here's what to do if you feel like the third wheel or the fourth wheel or the fifth wheel or the 23rd wheel, and how to kind of like ameliorate that. First of all, realize it's not a competition. Unless it is. Unless you've got a Kylie Jenner in your group of friends. You've got a Regina George, you've got a Queen Bee, and it's their world and you are living in it. Maybe they're the richest one and they've got the lake house and they've got the cool car and they pay for everyone's drinks when we go out and they got the keg. Okay. Maybe they're the prettiest one and all the boys want them. So it's like, well, we're going where Kim says we're going because she's the hot one and boys, she brings the boys to the yard. So, okay. Maybe they're just the fucking bossy one. Maybe they are the Regina George and they just like rule everything with an iron fist. I don't know. But if you feel like it is a competition, examine what that dynamic is, because I promise you, it's not worth feeling like a minion. Friendships are neutral. And we talk about this when we talk about having guy friends or being friends with your exes. Horrible idea. Because like, you're not supposed to be friends with someone who you have all this emotional baggage with. You are also not supposed to be friends with someone who you are competing for their love. That is not a dynamic that's healthy. Of course we want our friends to like us. Of course we want to feel like we have a prominent position in the social group. We're pack animals, right? But if she doesn't love me, I kind of don't exist in this friendship group. And if I fall out of her favor, I'm on the dark side of the moon and then I become a target. That's not healthy. So what you can do is, like I said, recognize if this dynamic is at play, and then ask yourself what the fuck you're getting out of this, right? And maybe you're saying like, well, I'm getting a lake house and I'm getting all the hot dudes who come over and talk to her and then they end up talking to me. Like I kind of like pick up the scraps. It's like, fuck, cheers to that. I mean, yeah. But it's important, if that is the case, that you have other friends, right? Because Kylie doesn't have a clique. Kylie has a kingdom. Kylie doesn't have friends who are all friends with each other and they have their own individual jokes and they have their own individual love. The only love that there is flowing in one direction, and it's flowing towards Kylie, right? And that means she has all the power. She decides where they go on vacation. She decides what color they wear. Who do you think decided what color they wore for that video, right? Who do you think decided that they all wore matching Kylie skin swimsuits when they went to that island to promote her new skin line? She did. It's her world and they were living in it. And that means they don't have any power and they don't have any say-so. And when you set up that dynamic, basically all the underlings are jockeying for position like animals. And that's going to lead to a lot of infighting. And we saw that between Victoria and Stassi. So if that's how you feel, recognize that it doesn't have to be like this. And be like, okay, I'm going to hang out with Kylie for her lake house and whatever, but I'm also going to go cultivate my own group of friends. And listen to me. Cultivating a group, making friends in general, is a marathon. It is not a sprint, okay? So give yourself time. Make this a long-range goal, like getting in shape, okay? I'm gonna get my friendships in shape. This is a friendship fitness plan. So first things you're gonna do is look around your life at your like second tier friends that maybe you haven't been giving a lot of attention to. Your friend in class, your neighbor, your friend from high school that you don't really talk to anymore. Start putting more energy and effort into those, right? Because when you have a one-on-one dynamic, it's much more balanced, or at least it should be, because at least you're not competing with other people for the love of this one person. And then you can go back into the Kylie group and you're like, okay, fucking horizontal. I'm not so pressed about if she sits next to someone else at lunch because I just came from hanging out with someone else and I feel good, I feel happy. So now I can look at this group of Kylies and I can take it for what it is. Just fun. Hey, I'll use her for her lake house and I enjoy her company. She's using me for power, right? She's using me to as a puppet. So now it's a symbiotic relationship. Now it's not just a take, and I'm giving. It feels more balanced. It feels more neutral, right? So look around your life and shore up those other friendships. And try to introduce people to everyone else, because like I said, that's what stood out to me in this video, is that this was Kylie's clique. They were not friends with each other. I don't think Victoria hangs out with Stassi. God knows no one fucking talks to Yris, poor thing. And some people like that. Some people are the Kylies and they don't want their friends to mingle because it's a disruption to their power, right? They consider that an uprising. They consider that a challenge because what they want is not friendship. They don't want neutrality. They want control. And that is something you need to see and observe. Alphas are what? They're pack leaders, but they're pack builders. Is Kylie a pack builder? I don't know. Maybe not. Are you? Are some of your friends? I love it when my friends make friends with each other. And my group of friends is called the Tit Friends. We've all got boobs. And I have curated the Tit Friends with the help of other people, brought in people who brought in other people, and then they all became friends, and then they hang out, and two of them are going on vacation, and then we all host parties, and I'm like, yes. I love it. There's so many individual chords of connection that it's like I could step away from that group of friends and it still would thrive on. And yes, on some level, that's scary to me because I am thinking about leaving New York, and I'm like, I couldn't leave my friends because you assume that it's just like, it's going to close up and they're going to forget about you forever. But if you have cultivated this healthy type of friendship dynamics in a group where everyone does have their own individual connection, they won't forget about you. It's ironic. You think that, oh, well, they're going to cut me out. They don't need me anymore. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. They are going to love you more because they're going to realize you're part of the fabric of the group. And they're going to be strong enough to want to stay in touch with you. It's not like out of sight, out of mind. But you know what? If that's the way it is, let that play out and then start to make your own new clique. And truly, I believe there is no happy person who doesn't have friends. Does that full of double negatives? You can't be happy if you don't have friends. And when you guys message me about boys, I've never had a boyfriend and I don't really have good friends either. I'm like, okay. You don't start with the boys, you start with the friends. Because if all you have are boyfriends, that means when he leaves, and boo he will, because what's the strongest smell in the universe? Desperation. Oh, the desperation. You spray it all over and people can smell it. Oh, they smell it a mile away. Here she comes, the most desperate girl in the universe. That's you. If you're that way and you have to have a boyfriend because you ain't got nobody else, when he leaves, he takes your whole identity with him. And so we know that. And so we're prone to stay in toxic, unhealthy dynamics. And ironically, you get a Kylie clique situation where he's maybe not after a fair and balanced, neutral dynamic, in a relationship where it's like everyone has equal power. He's maybe after a minion because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if he knows, where are you going to go? Who are you going to talk to? No one. People can get weird. That can flip into a manipulative person very easily, whether or not they intend for it to be like that, So it's important that you have friends. They are our emotional gatekeepers. They are our historians. They're the ones who are like, you're acting weird and this isn't like you. And I don't date guys who don't have friends, and weirdly, it's kind of harder for dudes to make friends, as adults, or maybe they just, who knows, guys just suck, but that's their problem. This channel isn't for guys, it's for girls. Figure it out. So if you feel like you're the odd man out, let's recap. Identify the dynamic that might be pursuing this. Maybe you're introverted. Maybe you're not sharing with people. Maybe you're not opening up. People who don't trust enough are not trusted in reverse, right? If you are not sharing anything, well, fuck, I'm not going to tell you all my secrets. This is the blood in, blood out thing, my dude. So then I'm not going to open up to you because you seem closed off. And a lot of people interpret that as judgy. If you're not open, if you're not sharing, it's like, well, what are you doing then? You're just judging me when I tell you about things that are going on in my life and well, fuck you, I'm not opening up. Or is it coming from the queen bee? Is it a competition dynamic, right? If that's the case, work on getting other friends. Shore up those peripheral friendships who maybe aren't super cool. Who cares if they're cool? This is the good thing about being an adult. Coolness is not a thing anymore. Popularity is not really a thing. I mean, if there is any metric of popularity, it's Instagram followers. Let me tell you something. If you try to make friends and lead with, I'm verified on Instagram, you will not make a single friend because it is the douchiest thing in the world. Believe me, I've tried it. It's not popular isn't a thing. It's who do I connect with? Who's there for me in times of trouble? Who's enriching my life? Who's bringing a positive, vibrant attitude into my life? Or who's tearing me down? Who's using me for things, And when you're an adult, you are allowed to walk away from these people in a way that you always are allowed to, but in a way that you don't realize you're allowed to when you're in school. So, shore up the friends, assess the dynamics, and give yourself the time to cultivate the friendships you want. Marathon, not sprint. And try some new things. Branch out. I've met the best friends that I have doing things that I was not particularly good at, joining some weird running club or a cooking show or whatever, where it's okay, I'm not good at this. And then you start laughing, you start talking to the person next to you, blah, blah, blah. Making friends takes boldness. It takes stepping out of your comfort zone and being risky. But that's what makes a leader. Leadership is risk in service of authenticity. I want to know what you guys have to say about Kylie's creepy clique. Do you think she really is a queen bee? Do you think these are like super ride or die friends for her? Do you think she's getting into hot water with Victoria wanting to be an influencer and that's going to blow up in Kylie's face? And most importantly, do you think she should let Jordan back into her life? For more, click like and subscribe. We're going to do a video every day during quarantine for as long as I can stand it. I know we're going to get through this. I promise you guys. And like I said, follow me on Instagram at shallonxo. And if you want a video shout out, find me on TikTok. See you later, guys.